All right. I am here with Amos Bracewell of ENTV today, and I'm very excited. This is something that I've been looking forward to doing, and to see you in the hot seat today and to share with us all in Empowered Soul Network is fun. So welcome.
My pleasure. Thank you. And thanks for getting the name change right.
Very welcome. Very welcome. All right. So I'm going to start you out with what we started with the other night in our micro summit, which is, what does being an empowered soul mean to you?
Oh my gosh. Richard Lasseter. My mind went to Richard Lasseter because I'm like, Richard has a great way of slowly articulating things with, to me, a lot of times just excellence. I was going to turn to Richard. Richard, can I turn the mic to you? Okay. So to me, someone that's moving forward in measurable ways so that whatever metrics, the needle's moving. As long as the needle's moving forward, I'm in the process of being empowered. That's how I would look at it.
I love that. Forward progress, forward movement.
Yes. Because man, I don't know how other people here feel, but Sandra, there was honestly at least a decade or two where I felt completely stuck. Like I understand why people commit suicide, or at least contemplate it, because my teens and 20s was an absolute gong show, and 30s were exceptionally hard too. There were some foundational lessons that back then I would have said I missed out on because of family dynamic, but now I understand life was happening for me, not to me. So it all came about and has worked, but it was a shit show for 20 years of my life. And so I'm so thankful for, as you said, progress, that I can choose to take steps every day and measure my success, not based on have I arrived, but am I on the path that feels right.
How do you stay on the path? How does that help you? Like, how do you do that?
Well, one of the key things is discipline.
Mm.
For me, that's a key piece, is I actually have to choose. This morning, I did not want to get up and work out. I wanted to lay in bed. I wanted the world to go away, but I had this sense, if I don't get up, I need to move my body to energetically shift some energies. I experienced this morning, first thing, just laying in bed. I felt, anyway. So one is discipline. One is something you and your parents are very familiar with. It's that I've only been learning this last year, Sandra. It's learning to honor what truly is here and listening to it. I grew up not listening to any of that, or very little of that, and was only ever in performance mode and shooting on myself. So one is honoring, actually, before I can honor it, actually asking myself, how do I really feel about this? Breathing, and then processing through that till that the truth emerges. And then, okay, based on that anchor point of what is true that I've acknowledged here, what is my responsibility of daily activities? I can't eat the elephant in one day. So it might take me 40 years to roast that sucker and cut it all up. Sorry to the vegans in the house, and then work my way through it. It might take 40 years. So what do I do to progressively go towards that over the next 30, 40 years?
It seems like that word discipline is permeating through even that, what you're sharing.
Well, I don't, unless others have a better way. I've never accomplished anything I've accomplished in life. It's been through the daily disciplines. Jim Rohn said something like, there's two pains in life, the late Jim Rohn. You're going to suffer the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And the pain of discipline weighs ounces. And I think the caveat to that would be, and you measure it out daily, or the pain of regret weighs a ton. And the caveat would be, and it lasts a lifetime. And I don't want to be on that side of it. So since I was a teen, I was like, I want what I want, and I'm not going to get it handed to me. So I have to go after it. And no one's going to make me do anything because I'm extremely stubborn. So it's like, I have to anchor in here. And then I just lock into what are my commitments to myself? And no one's going to show up for me. So I need to learn to show up for myself. And that's how I do it, Sandra.
Mm. Wow. So what is it that you're passionate about lately?
Oh, the catapult program and the catapult games. Well, there's a thing. I'm passionate about connection. I'm passionate about. I built ENTV today, which is still known as Empowered Network TV, of course, but I built that because I felt called to do it, not because I knew what it would become or had some master plan. I certainly didn't. I felt like I was shown 2 weeks ahead of time or 3 weeks ahead of time what to do. But I've been bringing people together my whole life. I've been bringing people together for connection, for conversation, I love creating new things. So I love possibilities. And Catapult is the next evolution of that with the Catapult games, because now I get to see, and it's self-serving, right? I paid a price last year I felt called to do something and I did it, and it worked. It worked really well. And now I'm getting to see you guys all do this and blow up your Facebook groups. And I was in the bath the other night. I was sick on the weekend. And I was like, wow, if I died, if I died today, I thought on the weekend, the 8 groups of you guys, that you guys are already going to change the world. And I almost when I started getting emotional, I was like, okay, so even if I died now, you guys are going to affect so many people, infect with so many good things, and create space in your ecosystem here to help so many amazing teachers in Empowered Soul Network get a mic stage audience within their niche now, as opposed to the ENTV as a large umbrella. This is like a specific niche of how to people. So I thought about you guys, I thought about the others, and I was like, wow, I get to know that I play a little part, and that made me pretty happy, knowing that you guys are able to impact so many more people now. And so it's the amplification of what I've been doing my whole life, which was stirring stuff up, making it happen. But now I'm like, oh, I can like get to see the benefits of like teaching what I know as best as I can, at least to you, and then watching you, Sandra, and your parents just take off. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Do you find any challenge in the level of, like, you're such a passionate person. Do you find that that creates challenge for you in any way?
All the time. I want to kick people's asses to go faster, not because I'm right and they're wrong always too. Sometimes people are screwing around, and to me, they're not taking life seriously enough, because I live like every year is my last year on earth. Literally, I go, this is my last year. What the hell am I doing with my time? And then I just plot it out and go for it. But, and sometimes I'm just too demanding, because like anyone here, Richard Lasseter has strong beliefs. I have strong beliefs. And when you have strong beliefs, you really feel them, and I'm not saying Richard's like this, but I'm like this. And I want others to go, but don't you believe what I believe? Don't you agree with what I'm saying with the fervor and conviction? And that's a challenge for me, because I am very opinionated. Now in ENTV today, as you know this, Sandra, I don't demonstrate that a whole lot on interviews, because I'm not there to give my opinions. I'm there to serve. But I'm very opinionated. I have very strong beliefs. And so trying to grow ENTV today, that was not very hard for me. But the part of paying customers and then navigating relationships with paying customers, that's more inner circle, that has been really challenged me, because I know how to go on stage well enough and make that stuff happen. But when you're more intimate, that's where your beliefs, Sandra, come out, and mine. And then we go, well, how do we do this dance? And sometimes that's harder than others. So it's been extremely challenging for me.
Yeah. I also saw that image of it's like the having how do you balance finding that strong conviction, but at the same time not so much that it affects the inner here.
Yeah, I'm still in school.
Yeah.
I got a long way to go.
Yeah.
Thankful to be here though.
Yeah. It's I saw that image of reaching out the hand and letting the people grab it. That's what, as you were talking, that's what I was seeing is I'm here. That's what you're inspiring in me, at least. I'm here. I'm ready for you to grab my hand. Now you grab it.
Are you saying I'm the one putting the hand out, or you're the one putting the hand out?
Yeah,
That's
no,
that's how I feel. I feel like I just did what I did last year. And I'm, for Academy people in ENTV today, there are people that are looking for one or two clients a month. But for people like yourself, you guys are global impact. And that's really my sweet spot is I want to make a big bang. And so what I'm thankful about you and your parents is you guys are actually, you and your dad, especially your mom is still working, of course, but you and your dad are like, let's do this. And I want to roll with people that are like, let's do this. Like, there's people all around us that are, I'm trying to be insensitive, but they're dying all the time. Like, I think about my mom often, and my buddy that took his life right before my mom passed. And like other people, it's like, how short is this life? And what am I doing with my days left? And so I try to approach it with ferociousness. It's just like when I have a plate of food, I freaking attack the food. I'm not here I'm here to make impact. And I love working with people that are tired. Like they've done the work. They're tired of their own BS. They know where their BS is. And they're like, okay, I'm here to sign up to life. I'm here to say yes. And what can I get done in this brief window called life? What is the impact? I love working with people like that because how much can we do, Sandra, with even 100 people like that? What kind of impact globally can that make?
What was your mom like?
Soft-spoken, kind, entertaining, all about other people. She was a great listener. She was nurturer, loved putting on hosting things, not to make it at all about her. She would sit back, didn't want to talk, and could be on stage if it's in a group, but never wanted to be on stage if it was on her own. And she was just warm, kind. I was close with my mom. I wasn't, to this day, I'm not really close with my dad. We didn't really connect at all. I got some of his traits, but my mom was, well, you see the smile, right? I'm like, I love Debbie that's an interesting thing is I still only recently, right after she passed just over 7 years ago, I had a few encounters with her while I was awake. After my mom passed, I'm like, okay, is this even real? Where she came to me and she apologized for stuff that happened in the family. And I'm like, how is this possible? It happened 3 times. And then nothing. And then all of a sudden, in the last 2 months, my mom has, I don't know, connected with me again. And I felt her a few times, and she's told me some stuff a few times. And I don't know, I don't have a frame of reference for that, Sandra. I was raised in Christianity that is fairly boxed in. You know what I mean? And I love my upbringing, but I just believe that God is bigger than that box. And so I'm learning to integrate with this. Wow. My mom's coming to me 7 years after she passed, and she's telling me and showing me some pretty important things. That's interesting.
Yeah. How do you let yourself be guided?
Cautiously was my approach initially until I learned I could trust the guidance. That was not easy for me. I had a conversation with someone, 2 weeks ago, and when I came out of a very fear-based, that's how my dad was. Like, I had to do what my dad said or I get hammered. So it's like I thought God and the universe and the whole system that's set up to support, I believe, me was set up the same way that I have to be a good boy or I'm going to get spanked. I got hammered as a kid sometimes. And it took me literally, I had to make a conscious decision 14-ish years ago to go, okay, either I am loved and I'm safe in exploring life, or I'm not. And I'm always under performance. If this is true, I'm screwed no matter what, but I'm not enjoying my life. So I literally had to consciously give myself, I didn't have to, I chose to give myself permission to go, I am going to give myself permission to explore and ask a bunch of questions that I've always wondered, but I've been scared to because I wanted to be a good boy so I don't get spanked. So I 14 years ago started down that road-ish of going, I'm just gonna start exploring life. And it was inch by inch. And now where I'm at, I'm, exploring a lot more than I explored then. And so that's just to what you said, the guided, it's try it out, see how the guidance works. And yeah, every time I do it, it works. I listen, it works brilliant. I'm like, wow. But it's so outside the box how I was raised.
Mm. What there's this card that we do in our families, and there's all these prompts, and one of the questions is when is failure a success? When is failure a success to you?
When I frame it as such.
Mm.
Point blank, done. There's no other, to me, that just is what it is, because I failed a lot and then blamed and shamed a lot. And then after I learned that lesson, I reframed everything I'd failed at. And I was like, oh, I only called it a failure because I didn't have my glasses on. But now that I got my glasses on, no, there's no such thing as failing. There's just a temptation to think it's a failure in my mind. And then now I've learned enough to know, okay, there is no failures. There is no loss. It's all perception, and there isn't even betrayal. When I felt betrayal, I'm just looking at it's the wrong lenses.
Mm.
I don't even actually know that there's pain. I don't know that pain is real. I think pain is perceptual. Like I break my arm, that physically hurts. But someone does something to me and I say, I can't, the whole you made me garbage, right? To me, it's all BS. And someone betrays my trust. Well, what does that show me? Well, I have some belief systems I might need to, so I don't know. I think it's all based on glasses that we're wearing. At least for me, that's how I see it.
Which color of glasses you're putting on?
Or if they're even on and you need them and they're not. I bought wearing, these are not prescription. These are dollar store readers. I'm in like stage 4 of 6, apparently, of what then you need to go to get prescriptions. So I go to the dollar store. Seriously, but these are like, well, not the L cheapies, but the next ones up. They're cheap. And I get a bunch of them and then they break and then I throw them away. But until I was 30, I'm 48. At 39, I started noticing I needed, for phones, and I fought it for 2 or 3 years. And I did that a lot in my life. Life was lifing and trying to in my ear. That's garbage. Yeah, I don't still want, yeah. Here, I'll put this here. Life was lifing me and telling me signals I wasn't listening to. And then I was stubborn. So part of being stubborn is it takes a long time to change. But then once you decide on something, no one's getting me off it. So it's, yeah, learning. Yeah.
What other areas of your life are you passionate about? Like what things do you enjoy doing?
Conversations that are digging into uncovering. I like unearthing things and getting down to what is bedrock. I love going, yeah, but what's beneath that? What's beneath that? Yeah, I say this is my favorite color, or that's my favorite food, but why? I was asking a lot of whys my whole life as a kid. I came out like that. My mom said I came out testing every fence. From the time I was a few months old, I was just pushing everything, which my dad hated because he wanted a compliant, good boy. So yeah, I'm passionate about asking why. But I find it fun, just the exploration. Your dad loves adventure, right? So I share that with your dad, not the same way, but it's like I love adventure, and I don't need to go outside to adventure. I go inside to adventure, and I love pondering and thinking and what's possible and examining my own belief systems. But why do I believe that? But why do I think that? But why do I? Yeah.
So you mentioned before about life happening for you. If you mentioned your dad a couple of times, what do you feel like maybe you are learning or have learned from all of your experiences with your dad?
Reframing is key. I don't talk about my dad now and have any pain come up emotionally, like at all. which that's a new thing in the last couple of years.
Mm.
I can talk about it with no emotional hook, and it was rough. Like, and I had great pain I carried. I didn't know the pain was optional. That was a
Mm.
awareness moment in my 30s when I'd finally, and then it was the climb out of the pit that I had allowed myself to stay stuck in for years, thinking because it was done to me. And then as I became more aware, I climbed out of the pit. I was like, oh, stuff may have been done, but it's so much was how I referenced it. I was like, oh shoot, I really stayed in that pit for a long time. So yeah.
What if somebody were listening and hearing you talk about reframing, what's something that they could do like right here and now to start to reframe whatever their experience is in life?
Well, my belief is that we are constantly conditioned. Someone or something is constantly trying to condition humanity into victimhood.
Mm.
Um, and just like a politician, my belief is, who always has an angle. I believe and I'm not saying it's a bad thing necessarily, but every sales pitch has an angle, every message has an angle, every politician. And so whatever a TV program or an institute is pitching something, they're positioning for an angle. I go to Starbucks because I drive here because I wanted a drink. Like, I have my angle, my goal. And so learning to become aware that every voice that's talking to me has a motive. What is their motive? That, I don't watch TV for a long time, but when I would watch TV in my 20s, you just see these overt messaging. It's like, oh, they're subliminally telling me how to see life. And so reframing for me, I feel like it's coming awake.
Mm.
That's the journey I'm on, is in the process of coming more and more awake and coming out of the matrix. I don't know other word to say it, because that's what it feels like to me. It's a whole belief system that I was taught to think a family looked a certain way, or a good boy looked a certain way, or a citizen of society, or I was taught to believe that I had to go and get a good job and be a good camp worker, to make, and all those things. And listen to the government, take your vaccines, and like all this stuff, and trust your family doctor, and pay your taxes, and all these messages, and don't speak up. Don't do, and if you're going to start a business, then all the rules of, oh, make sure you're professional, make sure you're this, make sure you're that. And all these things that we're taught. And if you're going to wear clothes, you have to wear them a certain way. You have to dress a certain way. You have to brush your hair a certain way. You have to be a good girl and put your dress on and twirl a certain way. You guys were trained in all of that. And all of that is belief systems. And so I enjoy challenging all of that, not because maybe in the end, some of them end up being true to some degree, or maybe none of them are true. But how do I know unless I go?
Mm. Cool. You you've talked a lot about it, but is there like an underlying why for you in everything that you find yourself doing that kind of permeates your life?
Yeah, I want to know.
Mm.
That's what permeates me, is I want to know. From everything from sports to growing up and singing, I was told this is the ceiling of what you can do with a male tenor voice. And I was like, okay. And they told me basically you can't do past that. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go and do it. I had no idea how. So I don't, but, and then in basketball, it was in soccer, in sprinting, it was, this is what is acceptable as a benchmark, so it would frustrate me when I couldn't push past certain barriers. Like in basketball, I tried to improve my vertical and it didn't work. So that was really hard for me, because when I anchor into something, but, you know, or like how to grow a Facebook group, right? How to start a movement. People say, you got to do this, you got to do that. And it's like, well, how much of that am I going to take and believe? And how much of that am I? So I just like to
Hmm. Seem to have lost you, Amos. Hoping he gets back online here.